Dadeer dia distinto convidado Sira. Bem-vindo ao quartel-geral auditorium FFDTL Fatuhada Dili. Molokahu, ami convida ita bot Sira Hotu, hodi fo basa limang ba ita Hotu. Ami contenti no orgulho tebes, how Betty,
no how Mary Henrica,
ami na rua sesai distinto convidado siranya mestra cerimônia ba evento TLNOG da rua com si grupo operador Rede Timor-Leste ya fulang novembro 2025. Tinang dane ita realiza evento TLNOG ba da rua niang ia comunidade profissional tecnologia informação e comunicação. Ita completa ona workshop durante Loron Rua hahuhu si 19 to 20 novembro. Konaba Network Security, nebe participa máximo husi profissional ICT sira hotu husi instituição oing iadili.
Antes ahu, maita hotu hamrik, hodi hasai oração. Basira nebe religião católica, bele reza tuir hau, no basira nebe religião seluk, bele reza tuir ida-idak nefiar. Tiak maita hasai oração. Hodi padre, na yaman santo, atang ami hasay agradece bait tabot, bait hoy tabot ni tulong amne evento, amne workshop Loron Rua la hodiak, no ami husu na fating itani akompanya, atu tulong ami, no akompanya na fating ami otun ohin lorong amne konferensya bela la hodiak. Ami harohang ne hori na Jesus Kristo ni anarang, hamutu ko Espiritu Santo. Amen. Ami amam be ihalalehang, halo ami hahiha na intanarang, halo itanering to Miami, itani hakarang halo tuirba ya rai nudar ihalalehang.
Nuda rami perdua bay mahaloat ami labelusik ami monubatin tasaw may bihasay ami husiat.
Ave Maria, graça barakliu hitabot na maroma ko hitabot. Itabot diak liu feto hot itabot ni awan Jesus diak liu.
Santa Maria maromag ni inan haruhan mayami mamagsalak oras ne ho oras ne biyami at abisi katumate amen.
Gloria ba Padre ba Filho no ba Espírito Santo.
Nudaro dulu oras ne tinang batinang nafatin amen.
Nossa Senhora do Rosário de Fátima,
rogai por nós.
Hori Padre, Padre, Filho e Espírito Santo. Diak distinto convidado sira. Ami hato, amni agradecimento, no gratidão ba amni patrocinador Platinum, Makhanesang, Epinik, Sakomtel, ISOC, nomos Epinik Foundation. Tuirfali ho patrocinador Gold, Makhanesang, Team Simru, Flex Optic, Timor Telecom, nomos Ionize. No ikusliu ho patrocinador Bronze, Makhanesang, Gardamor, ISP. Ita ho turnia basa lima ba itane patrocinador sira. Agradece o Ain Tebes. Ami husu convidado sira beletur filafale. Desculpa. Agradece o Ain Tebes ba media hotu liliu media la fake news nebe halo ona transmissão direta e amne evento TLNOG da Ruak durante Loron Datolu.
Ba evento hingnian ami convida orador spesial sira no peri tu sira husi railarang no rai liur hodi mai fahe matenek no experiência maita hotu husi Dadeer tolorai. Ba malu kirak nebe mak participa e workshop Loron Rua liuba ami ni respeito e agradece. Bahirak nebe latuir workshop belehetang nia material liusi epinik website o seleb aproxima TLNOG committee hodi assisti imi. Belemos assisti a kanal media la faik ni online streaming. Ba ita hotu ami basa lima ba maluk sira nebe maktuir workshop Loron Ruanya. Ba basira ita basa lima. Dia Loron ohing ma Loron Datolu niang distinto convidado sira ita bot sira hotu mos meresetan surpresa. Orsida ia surpresa ba ita bot sira hotu nune halo favor la bele ba fatin rumah to evento nera mata tambah se ia prêmio dor prize samutuk sanulu resin rua. Kolega sira hotu e oportunidade o possibilidade bele hetan prêmio hirakne. Se makatene ita botmos bele sai sortinaim ba sesaun dor prize ne.
Distinto convidado sira atu hahu lorong ohing ho Espírito Nacional ho respeito. Ami convida ita bot sira ho di hamrik no ita hamutuk hanano ino nacional Timor Leste niang patria. convida itabot sira atu beletur filafali. Obrigada.
Maita continua onde assistir a mutuk dança cultura nebe se apresenta o grupo Leos de Val honarang TBL Kurai Husi município Cova Lima maita otunya basa lima basira.
Ita da basa limang baalin siraw si Grupo Les Yaval. Obrigada e parabéns baalin siraw si Grupo Les Yaval, dança furak tebes. Distinto convidado sira. Distinto convidado sira nebe ame respeita. Atu hahu evento da toluk ohing ami hakara convida ho respeito. Senhor Capitão Bere, hodi may hato ba itahotu koda ba housekeeping and emergency guidelines. Fating no tempo ami entrega.
Ba hirak nebe ma precisa device atau rona língua selux além de tetun bele usa device oing. For those who want to use the device is ready in the front because the presentation will be in tetun. Thank you.
Dia, obrigado a MC pela oportunidade, mas how Capitão Luiz Soares Bere, responsável da organização oficial, segurança, unidade e quartel-general. Dia, o que nós respeito para junto ao Estado-Maior, ao respeito para diretor TLNOG, a estrutura TOMAC, ao respeito para a agência nacional e internacional, Sira, nebe marca presença e fato independente. Kami respeito mos ba oficiais sargento praça nebe rola biban e ha evento idane. Kami respeito mos ba engenheiro timaruan sira nebe mak tau sirnya hanoi hamutuk e durante lorong hira e ha fatin idane. Diak. Awan how muda posição bawing how ele explica situações nebe mak e quartel general hotetum e depois responsável será bela introduz ou inglês vai ter convidado internacional será. Diek. Serviço de Informações Militar e a Quartel-General, Liliu e a Repressão de Segurança Militar, haremos plano de segurança contra informações de maca CARIC e a quartel-general. E a agenda se colhe com uma referência, objetivo, missão de segurança militar e estado final, ronia plano, contingência, CARIC, moço batruma e fatina. E lembra referência. Referência é fobiva ambahau, coribela hamriga fatina né maca. Lembra Estatuto Valentim Frete Racic, o decreto-lei de espaço, nomeação oficial de segurança militar e Honia NEP Sira nebe maka estabelece o quartel-general né e tatuir inclui plano contingência das unidades. Objetivo. Objetivo se a apresentação irane seguir se faz informações e a instalação quartel-general ligado ao contra incêndios. Minha missão. Missão nebe maka oficial de segurança unidade e a maka responsável perante o comandante, o diretor ou chefe ligado ao planeamento, coordenação, preparação de medidas para segurança relativa a Sira, inclui sobre assunto contra incêndios. E oficial de segurança militar, nós supervisar instrução de segurança militar, para militar, no civil Sira, cari e a fatina. No estado final, você a apresentação de uma participante Sira e a conhecimento, pronto no preparado, o enhira moço incêndio e a fatina. Plano de contingência das unidades. Plano de contingência de unidades e a quartel-general e a fatina, incluímos a unidade Sira, ligado ali segurança contra informações e a tempo de contra incêndios. E tem plano de segurança não emergência. E tem plano de defesa imediata. Plano de defesa imediata significa plano de emergência de carrega moço incêndio, sai de magat e a fatina a tu contribuir para plano de né. E a mos plano de emergência. Plano de emergência de mequia, hahu sini plano didático sira, toia desenho de maka realidade de situação e fatina né. E a plano contra incêndios e a mos plano evacuação. E não é plano de segurança. Plano de segurança não é emergência. Plano de segurança não é emergência e a planta e é exemplo didático e a mos plano contra incêndios. E a plano de emergência não, plano contra incêndios e a instruções. Instruções e a quartel-general primeiro e sinais incêndio, carga de incêndios e normalmente e edifício e a toca alarma, mas aí tem a fatina e tem a alarma e ela faz a reabilitação, então e a me funciona o serviço oficial dia e sargento dia. Oficial dia e sargento dia e só usa arpito. Carga moço incêndio ruma, aonde participa quando ia alarma cusi arpito, lá significa desogobala, mas bem e daí sinais e quartel-general kata ia alarma e nebe for atenção baita e tatu tamas situação sida nebe maka ameaça baitania vida. Tu ia corredor sira ia canto sira la sala ite incentor. Incentor nebe maka equipa técnico sira se usa carrega moço incêndio sira bela hamate ahi. Tu ir faltang ia sinais né? Cara kita bot sira ohi rona toca, alarma, ho calma e sai nenei, tuir indicações de bem maka didático hatete. E tuir vale metang ita emergência, ita se ia oficial dia no sargento dia se forções de direção sira, cara que bombeiro se tuir mai, tel se taka ahi, ni seguir to ia ita hotu baseguro. Ina ni plano segurança no emergência se na fatin, hanesang ohin, e tu queres hauba queres ia mapeamento situações segurança contra informações e a quartel-general. E daí maga edifício quartel-general, honi ina maga indicações de norte, ina norte, estrada principal é e sul, parte kutuk makane, e instalação honi limites maga lineamiento, e ita agora dará itania ba posição ia linha kinurina auditorium quartel-general e ia né Ministério da Defesa e né agora carrega moço incêndios saída maca ita precisa atene não ita precisa baile nebe ia ponto encontro 1 ia ponto encontro 2 não ia ponto encontro 3 ia ponto encontro 1 ou 2 né destinado para edifício ou alta entidade sira Ministério da Defesa, nos generais sira. Agora, e também vem aqui auditorium. Carig moço incêndio, e tem evacuação, ponto encontro maia, ponto evacuação 3. E marcações, né, itinerário interno. Katak dala ne vem que ita bela acesso, bela barra destinação né, ita tuiret corredor né. Carig moço incêndio ruma, hanesa o ensinar serão hatete. Ita saiu na ba tiro ne itinerário né, to né, ita to halu ela sai de né, ita nunca fila ba. Nunca fila fale mais fatinda né. Tamba segurança ou siranabe contra incêndio halawan ne serviço. E firma ita é a entrada principal e hoje oi no entrada ida fale hoje parte kotuk. E hane sinais ambulância e tania careta maka keta para he fatin nekari quando he ponto ita mai ponto evacuação ita labele baona muda itania careta rasi ko tirane para ato labele fo ou takadalamba parte bombeiros ou EDT parte equipa nevet mai apoiita. E ao hanoin haunia desenho lá dum dia que vai how fiar kata kita você compreende e ida nema que situação que mesmo kita ia e haunia apresentação toba né e ao fiar kata itene segurança né quando vai incêndio ser seguro e how mos fiaran kata hoita vot ser engenheiro ser contribuições durante a longa e tinha segurança vai internet mos ser seguro. Obrigado.
Obrigada, Senhor Capitão Bere. Ami husu atu ita na fating mantém lai haoing. Ami seja presente aqui que atu entrega baita. A respeito, ami convida presidente TLNOG nia, Maunze Laudias, atu belema entrega. Itahoto ne basa limang. Obrigado. Bela fila kalbakate.
Distinto convidado Sira, com respeito a me convida discurso principal ne BCA Tohusi Epinic Director, Sr. Jia Ronglo, atu hato welcome remarks and keynote. Mr. Jia, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So my name is Jarong. I'm the Director General of APNIC, and I come from Singapore. It's my first time in Timor-Leste, both personally and in this capacity. I'm very happy to be here. From my culture, we have this thing called feng shui. Feng shui is like, we like to believe that the place that you are in and where there is water and there is a mountain, you will have prosperity. And exactly when I arrived here, I was like, wow, look at the water and look at the mountain. And so I'm very happy to be here, and I do have some friends from Timor-Leste before, and this time when I came to visit, I'm very happy to get to meet with them. And also in the past couple of days, I made some new friends. Really appreciate it, and appreciate all the warm welcome from everyone. Now I'll talk a bit about APNIC and what have we got to do with TLNOG. So for those who have not heard about APNIC before, we basically are the coordinators of IP addresses for the region. Now, if you need to connect to the internet, and it's good to talk about internet in general for us now. If you want to connect to the internet, most of us think the internet, what is it? Is it 4G or 3G or Wi-Fi, fiber optics cable, Now we're talking about submarine cable. Are these internet? Or is internet what we see as the content? Google, Facebook, are these internet? Now in our space, the network operator space, both of these things are not internet. The 3G, 4G fiber optics, they are the physical carriers for data. The content is the content that sits on top of the internet. Internet, strictly defined, is the technology for your device or your computer to connect to my device or my computer. And what do we need to do that? We need three key things. The first is we have to code our computers to speak the same language. In other words, we use the same global protocol standards that we all agree on. And some of the standards are arbitrary. Like, just deciding on what is the port number for email, what is the port number for browser. And if we all decided that we will code 50, if someone uses a number 60, then they are not connected to the same. So this is the first thing that we need to have. Second is that every device needs to have an IP address. So we are relatively familiar with IP addresses. So the older version, which most people are still using, is called IP version 4. It's 4 sets of 3 numbers, like 111.120. something something. So that's the older version. That's run out. So we have moved into the new version called IP version 6. But every device needs to have an address so that I can find your device to send the data to you. So we need IP addresses. So APNIC's role is we are the coordinator of IP addresses, and we allocate IP addresses to your telcos, the mobile operators, the ISPs, so that they can then use those IP addresses when they provide the service to your personal device. They can allocate a IP address to that, and then you get connected to the internet. I'll come back to that in a bit. The third thing that we need is, because humans struggle to remember IP address, unless you have a supercomputer brain, which I presume some of you have. But most of us can't. Like a normal human being like me, I cannot remember the numbers. So we convert the numbers into names. That's why we have websites. We call them domain names. So like, if you want to go to Google, you go to www.google.com, you type it in the browser, the system automatically converts that into what IP address is this domain name? Does it correspond to? So by doing that, we can access the websites and the information that we want. And the third thing that we need then is domain names. So they are distributed top-level domains like .com. Here in Timor-Leste, it is .tl. So we need these three things: protocols, IP addresses, and domain names. And these three things combined together, they are called the Internet's unique identifiers. The Internet's unique identifiers. We can't allocate IP addresses to Telemore and then give the same IP address to Telkomsel, because then you have a conflict. So somebody needs to coordinate that. And APNIC plays that role. And for the protocol standards, there's another organization called the Internet Engineering Task Force. They are the ones who play that role in terms of setting global standards. And again, anyone here can also participate in that conversation. Now, domain names are managed by an organization called ICANN, but I won't go into these too much. But largely, just remember, we are using the same internet because we are using the same set of unique identifiers. The same protocols, the same IP addresses, the same top-level domains, the same domain names. If we do not use these things as a unified set, you will have a different internet. Then you will have what we call the splinternet, different internet. But today, all of us are connected to each other because we are using the same set. And this is important for us because why we are enjoying the internet so much is because you can be connected to each other in any part of the world. But for some reason, if we were to have more than one global internet, we will stop being able to connect to each other. Then all the benefits that we have seen from digitalization, we will roll back several years for that. So as network operators, we play a very important role because we are the ones that keep the internet going. So really, I'm very happy to meet with our community here, and I hope that likewise, you see as much meaning in Test. Okay, I'll continue. So I hope you see as much meaning in your work as I do mine, because in some ways your day-to-day work can sound boring. It's just network operations. But if you think about what you are doing, you're helping people have internet in their hands when some people in the past, they had no access to education, no access to information. But because of what you are doing, their lives are so much different today. Some farmers in the past, they had no access to the market, then they have to go through middlemen. And through digitalization, they have access to market now. And perhaps then it helps them get the better income. So all of that work is your contribution. So I like all of us just to give each other a round of applause, just to encourage each other, because what you are doing is super meaningful. Please. Now, I've just explained the internet more broadly, and I'd like everyone to have the same common understanding amongst us. That's why I took some time to explain that. Now, I'll explain a bit about APNIC. So I mentioned APNIC, we are the allocator of IP addresses. Now, there's 5 of us globally. So each of our organizations look after a specific region. So APNIC, we look after Asia Pacific. We look after 56 economies, and we allocate IP addresses to this region. And when we allocate IP addresses, we give them to operators. So most of the time, they are telcos, mobile operators, or internet service providers. But if you are running a network, we just recently allocated IP addresses to the central bank in Timor-Leste. And if you're running a network, you can get IP addresses from us. And when we allocate IP addresses to you, you are not a subscriber. You become a member, because you take this piece of IP address that we help to allocate and you run it. You are running that piece of the single global internet that I just described. So this is pretty important, because as members of APNIC, not only are you running the single piece of internet, but also you have that responsibility to govern APNIC. So members have voting rights, and you can vote for my board. We call it the Executive Council, but you can vote for my board. And if you want to, you can change my board through the voting, and that will change the direction of APNIC overall. Now, the second part of it is in terms of policies. So APNIC, how we allocate IP addresses, we follow certain policies. Those policies are not decided by me or my staff, but they are decided by you. So the broader internet community can come together, and in APNIC, we organize 2 conferences every year. The community can come together and discuss and put up proposals to change and adjust the policies for how we distribute IP addresses. I think this is important because in some ways, when I talk to friends here in Timor-Leste, some of you will say, oh, we are late to the game. Yes, in some ways, yes, but this conversation of how we adjust policy is an ever ongoing conversation. So I'd like to invite all of you to participate. And the next APNIC conference will be happening in February in Jakarta. So it's very near from here, and I'd like to invite everyone to participate. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me later, but I am flagging that we will have a conference in February. Now, I mentioned about if we allocate IP addresses to you, you become a member. So right now in Timor-Leste, APNIC, we have 17 members, which includes all the mobile operators, including the government. ANC is a member as well. Then we just had the central bank who joined as a member. Now again, if you're running a network and you need IP addresses, you can get IP addresses from us and become a member. So if you're doing that and you have not linked up with us at this point, feel free to reach out to me or my colleague, Lou. Yep, we have a booth outside, so you can reach out to her and she will help you with becoming a member and getting IP addresses to run your network. Now I'll talk a bit about APNIC now and what do we have got to do with network operator groups. So I mentioned it's my first time here personally, but also it's the first time I'm here in the capacity of APNIC's Director General. And the reason is because, for those who don't know, I just joined APNIC. This is my, I just crossed 1 year. I officially took over this role 1 year ago. So I just took over this role 1 year. And I wish I could have visited earlier, but you know, there's quite a bit of things that we had to do, which I've now worked on, but now I can come and spend time with the community here. Now, some updates from APNIC since I took over, because one of the key challenges I had when I joined was APNIC's budget was in a deficit. So APNIC had to raise fees for members, and it did impact some members when we had to raise the fees, especially the smaller ones. Now, the fee increase happened before I joined, so there's not much I can do about that per se. But what I promised members was that I can give you predictability in the longer term. And what that meant was I will be able to give a very clear forecast of when we will exit the deficit. And also we will do a longer term planning. So in September, I've done some realignment work internally, and we adjusted some of the strategies as well. And what that means from September, I had announced to the community that APNIC will exit our budget deficit in 2027. We will be on a balanced budget by 2027. And when we have a balanced budget, it gives members a predictability that you will not have to worry about APNIC raising fees again anytime soon. So that's my first promise, which I have delivered. The second promise is something that I am working on now, is APNIC will do a 5-year budget forecast from 2028 to 2032. We will forecast a longer term forecast that will allow members to have a clear idea where our budget is going. APNIC, before I joined, only did budget planning on an annual basis, and that also had an impact on why we had to do member fees increase. So we're adjusting that too. So I just wanted to let you know, as members, this is my commitment to you, and that's why I thought to share this very briefly, but to give you that certainty of where we are from a budget perspective. Now, the next part tied to this is, I mentioned we adjusted some of our strategies. So what is APNIC focused on? And essentially, we are focused on supporting the community and the development of the internet through the allocation of IP addresses. So on the one hand, we just allocate IP address. We make sure we manage that properly, accurately, according to policy. So on the one hand, we do that. But how can you use IP addresses to make your internet better? Now, in the whole region, like I mentioned, globally, IPv4 addresses have run out. And it's not the fault of APNIC or anyone per se, but if you want to blame somebody, you can blame the founders of the internet at the time. Why do I say that? When the inventors of the internet thought, okay, we need to have an IP address system, they came up with IP version 4, and it has 4 billion addresses. 4 billion addresses in total. At the time when they created the system, they thought 4 billion addresses must be enough. Why? Because each internet connection was usually one computer. And each university, which were where the inventors were from, each university would have a handful of computers. So if you add up a handful of computers multiplied by the number of universities in the world, 4 billion addresses, more than enough. But we didn't know that we would advance to a stage where we have internet in everyone's hands. And we have more than one device per person. So you have like maybe 2 devices, 3 devices. Then plus if you have the Internet of Things, you have smart homes. You might have heard of this before, smart homes with many devices. you could have like 50 devices in your home. If each device had an IP address, then 4 billion IP addresses would not be enough. Just by each person having one IP address, there's 8 billion people. So we don't have enough IP addresses. So we have run out of the supply in that sense. So when the Internet Engineering Task Force group came together, we have a problem. We need more IP addresses. So we have to come up with a new system. That's how they moved to IP version 6. It's a new system. Now, because we had computer scientists and we joke about them being geeks, but they are really, computer scientists. If you give them a problem, they will think of the absolutely most amazing solution you can think of. So they came up with IP version 6, which is almost infinite. There's more IP version 6 addresses than there is sand in the world. I'll say that again. There are more IP version 6 addresses than there is sand in the world. The number is so large that I cannot describe what it is because there's so many zeros. I just want to give you the assurance for that. Now, we need to move away from setting our networks in IPv4 to IPv6. Why? Because if we are all running on IPv4, there's a limit to how many addresses you have. And if you experience growth in the number of your users, IP version 4 will become your limiting factor to growth. But that's not what we want, right? We want to have growth in number of internet users so that when we have more internet users, then you can enjoy everything that's on top of the internet, digitalization, e-commerce. You can enjoy these things. So we have to move away from networking in IP version 4 to IP version 6. And a key part of that for APNIC is we want to help you and we want to support you. So if you need more training, we will be happy to support you with that. Just reach out to us and we will continue to do that. And that's why part of APNIC strategy is we will support all the NOGs, the network operators groups, because this is where you gather, you convene, and we will support these groups and we will continue to do training. Now, this is a good segue. I want to thank Jose and Jemris for organizing TLNOG. Prior to this, we've been partnering ANC every year to do training. So very happy that we have this platform. And also when it comes to training, one of our trainers is supposed to be here. Her name is Shane. Some of you will know her. But unfortunately, her mom is not well, so she cannot travel. So I'm also very grateful for Warren from ISOC, who took over the training. So a big appreciation for that. Now, a couple of more points and I will close. So IP version 6, very important. If we want to have exponential growth, we need to move towards that. It is not a new technology. IP version 6 was invented already 25 years ago. Now, the take-up rate is slow, but amongst our whole region, we have crossed 50% deployment across the whole of the Asia-Pacific region. The other region that has this high deployment is in the North America region. And I did have one interesting observation. The countries and economies that deploy IP version 6 in the high numbers is because they need it for innovation and growth. So the IPv6 adoption is a reflection of growth and innovation. And we have such high numbers within our region right now is also reflecting the growth and innovation in our region. So I'd like to encourage you we will work with you to support you, but I will encourage you that when we look at the numbers for IPv6 deployment in Timor-Leste over the next few years, if it's growing, it will be a reflection of your growth of the internet in this region. Now I'll give a quick few statistics about Timor-Leste's current deployment numbers so that we have a baseline, and then we will work towards raising this number together. Now, right now, IP version 6 capability in Timor-Leste is 3.9%. It's just 4%. If we can move this number by 10% slightly each year, it will be a reflection of your growth as well. And we will want to support you on that. Now, that's the IP version 6 piece. Two more items here. The The second one is on security. So all of us, today, cybersecurity is a key area that we want to focus on. So in the network operators group community, we want to encourage our network operators to deploy something called RPKI, Resource Public Key Infrastructure. Basically, it's a crypto signing infrastructure that protects against routing hijacking. Long story short, it's just to defend against routing hijacking. And we'd like to also support this community to deploy it. Now, right now, the RPKI deployment for Timor-Leste is 67.4%, which is pretty good. So let's try to move this number up to 100%. So that's one side. Now, on RPKI, there's two parts. One is on the actual signing. The other one is on validation. So we've done signing at 60+%. The validation piece is something we need to work on. It's currently 2%. So we will work to support you on this one too. Now, the third point I wanted to make was on internet exchange points. So those of you who were at the social yesterday with Warren, he already described about having internet exchange points. Long story short about internet exchange is that right now, if you are looking for a website somewhere, you type into the browser, very likely that routing of looking for that web server to send the data back to you goes out of the country and comes back in again. Right now, that's what's happening for most of it. So this is not good because there is a speed element. You have to go to Australia and then come back, or you go to Singapore and then you come back. So it takes longer. That's number one. Number two is cost, because you go to different carriers and then you have to pay something as you go. So it increases the cost as well. And then that cost goes to the users. So if you want to increase your efficiency, lower the cost for users, we want to find a way to keep the traffic within the country. And the way to do that is through internet exchange points. Now, internet exchange points basically is you have a location where you have switches that allow each operator to peer with each other. So in many countries, like Japan, for example, is very well done. Singapore, we have that as well. And operators who are competitors to each other decide to peer with one another. And it can be strange. Like, why do we want to do that? You know, we are competitors, right? Why do we want to do that? But everyone benefits by doing that. And how do we start these conversations? It is exactly this platform, the Network Operators Group. So it's very interesting because in Network Operators Group all over the world, all over the region, it's the most interesting place because you have competitors who all come together in a place and discuss how can we work with each other? How can we help each other? How can we peer with each other? And that's why we need Network Operators Group to grow. And it becomes the platform that we come to get to know one another. Then we look at how we can support each other in terms of peering. So APNIC, we are super supportive of NOGs, and we also like to help to support the establishment of internet exchange points. So that is also in Warren and ISOC's mission as well. So for us, we would like to work with you and support you and establish that benefit once we've established an IXP. But all of these are building blocks with each other. We need to have networks with each other from a human-to-human, person-to-person perspective. Then we will strengthen the network when it comes to the operator's perspective. So I'll just close with these few areas. Let's work together. We will support you in IPv6 deployment. And let's hope to see exponential growth here in Timor-Leste. And the second one is let's work on improving the security together by deploying RPKI. And the third one is let's continue with supporting the NOGs and participating in the NOGs, the network operating groups here. And through that, hopefully we can establish an internet exchange point together, keep the traffic local, and everyone benefits together. And with that, I'll close for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Senor Jerome, for the IT security and internet exchange is a homework for all of us here as an engineer of IT. Thank you. Mr. Jia, please stay in the stage. We have some gift to give to you. Ami convida o respeito Mount Jembris atu for presente ba Senhor Jia. Ito ni Basalim. Once again, thank you very much, Senor Jia, for the knowledge that you share with us. Please have a seat.
Tua irmã, com respeito, a me convida a junto chefe do Estado-Maior das FFDTL, Tenente Coronel Sua Excelência Valério Valenti, onde me hatoo breves palavras ba Itahoto. Tempo do fating a minha entrega.
Obrigado pelo tempo, babina em rua, nebe forrau, atu husi kela liafuang ida rua, ba workshop, a conferência, sira nebe marca presença. Portanto, em primeiro lugar, hau respeita ba diretor-geral região ASEAN, nebe bele marca presença hane, hurifai experiência ba ita Timor, também tá tendo kata kita Timor wane persija ema barak ni apoio atu bele ha meeting itania tecnologia idane. Tur fale distintos convidados nebe marca presença yane operadores da telecomunicação, internet service provider, oficiais, governo, acadêmicos, engenharia do rede, especial ba presidente TLNOG, nebe maka bele organiza evento idane, aware Loron Datolu ho idane, tabot sira bele hamutu ko hauni oficiais sargento sira, odi fahe tabot sira ne experiência ba ami, inomos bele convida itane maluk, nebe maka husi railiur. Ikus leu bahaunya camarada sira, oficiais, sargentos e praças, nebe maka hola parte mos ia conferência idane. Não em conferência idane badala rua, é importante, vai Itahoto, tanto AMI, Força de Defesa, Timor-Leste e Civil, é importante. Portanto, idane honra botida bahau bele mai marca presença idane, também tabot sirene convida para Sua Excelência Estado Maior, la bele marca presença ene, também e a ausência de serviço, portanto, idane maka nome hau mai fati idane atu husi kela lefuan ida baita bot sira. E nomos lori comando FFDT Lianaran, hau hato hela o participante sira, hotu aminia compromentos, voto sucesso no respeito baita bot sira, ohin tabot sira hamutuk ihane atu halo encontro ka halo conferência ka workshop idane no in futuro babe narsada itania internet ini é importante, portanto evento idane ia significado clean by tahutu tambah representa compromisso coletivo ida para desenvolvimento tecnologia para segurança digital nação nia no preparação para geração futuro husi especialistas stimoruan sida. Itamuri sia era ida nebe mundo ia ligação clean para rede digital sira, nação tomak, infraestrutura crítico, econômico, economia, instalação público no privado sira, no mos itania família nia moris loron nian. Associado com dependência para tecnologia, ameaça sira husi mundo moderno la limite ona ba fronteira físico sira ka força convencional de. Hoje loron estamos a soro ameaça invisível no sofisticado, mas ameaça cibernético sira. Segurança nacional hoje loron necessariamente envolve segurança digital no ida nela os predição futuro nian. De realidade presente nebe horas ne da o mundo enfrenta. Ataque cibernético para governo, sistema financeira, infraestrutura, comunicação, rede militar, nomos empresa público sira, cyberbake e a mundo tomak. Ataque sira nebe compromete dados paralisa, serviço essencial sira no tau e a perigo estabilidade no soberania nação nian. Timor-Leste la isola. Timor-Leste halo parte e a mundo colonização idane no sei ita halo parte e a mundo itamos fahe nia risco no responsabilidade sira. Também essencial tebes atu ita serviço hamutu hori hameting itania capacidade técnico, desenvolvimento, talento nacional no consolida itania soberania digital. Convidados distintos sira. Permite how atu destaca ponto essencial ida. Força Defesa Timor-Leste reconhece kata defesa moderno exige buat barak liu do que kibit militar de. Defesa ohin lorong combina capacidade operacional e treino, inteligência estratégico, infraestrutura comunicação nebe seguro, protege ba aminia sistema informação sira. Treinamento técnico atu responde ba incidente digital sira. Força de Defesa Timor-Leste comprometido ba paradigma fon idane. Ami investe e a capacidade técnica, modernização no cooperação com entidade nacional no internacional sira. Campo digital ohin loron. Saímos hanesan campo defesa ida. Protege itania rede, sira significa protege itania rai. Assegura comunicação, seguro significa assegura soberania. No desenvolvimento capacidade humano significa assegura itania futuro. Cibersegurança nacional marca elementos fundamental ida husi segurança nacional. Também Força de Defesa Timor-Leste se knakloke na fatin para cooperação com comunidade técnica, com instituição pública no privado sira, no parceiro internacional sira, com respeito na fatin e tenha interesse soberania. Senhores sira, futuro digital nação nian depende laos de equipamento moderno ka software avançado. Idane depende liliuba ema sira, perito sira, engenheiro, operador, acadêmico, pesquisador no jovem sira. Nebe hahu sira nia viagem e a campo de tecnologia ohin loronian. Para jovem sira nebe presente, estudante, técnico no profissional sira ia início sira nia carreira niang hau hakarak dirige liafuang especialidade. Timor-Leste precisa imi idane precisa itapot nia conhecimento, itapot nia credibilidade, itapot nia persistência, no itapot sira nia espírito inovativo. Nação ne bura sadau. Digitalização do serviço público sira avançado dadau. Ita nia presença e a região no internacional exige atu ita preparado no competitivo. Formação técnico hadia continua no ética profissional maka pilar sira nebe se permite itabot atu hari carreira sira nebe sólido no servir nação ou excelência. Laia isão ida macabele lá o mesak ba oi. Desenvolvimento nação maka esforço coletivo ida. Os Estado, Força Armada, Universidade, Sector Privado, no sociedade civil. TLNOG, preparado los tipo de iniciativa nebe Timor-Leste precisa. Plataforma ida atu halibur emasira, faz conhecimento, discute, desafio, no hari solução sira. Colaboração entre setor sira ne hameti nação, ida ne hameti itane independência tecnológica. No ida ne hameti itane habilidade atu defende itane futuro digital. Ikus lori FFDT Narang, hato aminia apreciação para organizador sira, visão, esforço, no commitmento para nação idane, liu para netmok, nebemak organiza evento idane. Itania viagem para nação idane be seguro, moderno, no avançado e a tecnologia senaro. Mas pe basu ida importante, no ohin itafuti passo significativo ida tan. A tu conferência idane sai momento inspirador, inspiração, aprendizagem, no cooperação niang. Karik ideia sira ne transforma para projeto. Karik projeto sira transforma para capacidade sira. Nobele capacidade sira transforma para progresso nacional. FFTL reafirma nia compromisso. No atu continua colabora com entidade hotu. Nebe presença iane. Atu defende interesse Estado niang, protege infraestrutura estratégico, no promove ambiente ida nebe seguro. Ao seja ba itabot hot, ao seja ba hotu, evento produtivo estimulante nebe no akuno com resultado positivo para Timor-Leste. Obrigado. Kalau datang, ao foi obrigado barak ba organizador, liu presidente TLNOG nebe organiza evento ida nebe ne bolo evento ida internacional. Também ita mesmo ita ne participação menos, mas be hauhusu karik bele e futuro mai fale hola partemos ema barak. Também nação ida agora ne Laos nação ida uluk nebe ita la usa tecnologia. Uluk ne ita se usa suratahan. Suratahan ne mas bahira mato. Anessa itania veterano sira nebe mak ulu kalofunu. Quando sira halofunu, sira tu marca encontro rate ne processo ida kenaro. Ohin manda ema to husi ponta leste to fale ia loromunu neba. Ida nemo sira se usa buat ida uluk ne pos dang kiro Mas itania apa sira veterano ne sira tahu ele kaisa rumah fatukua kruma tahu ele neba or sira marca e fatinda ne or sira equipa ida mai foti surat ne mak foing hatene katak o ine itabah sur malu ene ne uluk mas agora ne itenia colaboração itenia serviço hamutu com mundo ne importante tamba tecnologia ne Laos tecnologia ida be agora be narsada ne ita Timor be Loron ne ita tahu maka buat ida be ko kritika malu ne mas ema agora ne avançado ohin Loron muda avan muda fale, fulan muda, tinan muda. Nebe ita Timor mos tem que anesane. Ita tem que ita Timor mos tem que acompanhar na fate para ita bele coopera e bele compete ho internacional. Ita se lakon o ema sira nebe maka avançado. Obrigado, Barak.
Obrigada, Barak, Sua Excelência. Vai ter discurso no mensagem de Furak Tebes. Vai hori hafanong ami foi sira. Ami husu atu ita mantém na fatinha online. Ami convida Fila Fali, respeito ami convida Fila Fali, TLNOG, presidente TLNOG, atu mai entrega presente. Ita tu ne pasaliman. Obrigada, Barak, bele hola Fila Fali fating.
O respeito a me convida senhor José Laudias, TLNOG chairman o presidente, a tu hatonetik welcome remarks ba evento dene. Fating no tempo a me entrega.
Sua Excelência, adjunto-chefe do Estado-Maior-General das FFTTL, estimado convidado de honra, diretor-geral da APDIC, Dr. Giaron Lo, ilustres convidados, oradores, parceiros e colegas engenheiros da rede. Bom-vindo e bom dia. Nos últimos 2 dias, concluímos com sucesso workshop técnico intensivo, elevado às competências dos nossos engenheiros nacionais em áreas cruciais de segurança de rede. Agora, nesta estima sala de auditório das FFDTL, fazemos a transição do como fazer técnico para o porquê estratégico e o que se segue. Este dia de conferência junta a comunidade técnica com o governo, os setores de segurança e os líderes da indústria. Esta colaboração é vital. Como organização sem fins lucrativos, o TLNOG reconhece que uma internet segura não é apenas uma responsabilidade de engenharia. É uma questão de segurança nacional, estabilidade econômica e confiança pública. Estamos profundamente honrados pela presença do adjunto do chefe de Estado-Maior, Sua Excelência Sr. Valerio Valentim, e o diretor-geral da APNIC, Dr. Lo. A vossa presença sublinha a grande importância desta discussão, desde os protocolos de segurança de encaminhamento debatidos no nosso workshop até a estrutura estratégica de defesa cibernética que protegem a nossa nação. Incentivo todos hoje, decisores políticos, operadores y especialistas en seguridad a envolverse activamente. Vamos a establecer las parcerias necesarias para garantir que la infraestructura digital de Timor-Leste sea resiliente y fiável. Obrigado por estarem aqui, que a conferência TLNOG começa. Muito obrigado.
Obrigada, senhor José. Oficialmente, a mim convida diretor-geral EPNIC, no adjunto chefe do Estado-Maior das FFDTL, Tenente Coronel Valério Valenti, a tu hola fating heuing, hodi oficialmente lo que tenían conferência pada ohin loronian. Obrigada. Hausura Ida Ruatolu, bele começa. Ida Ruatolu. Bele para agora. Hoidane ita oficialmente lo que tinha conferência ba ohin lorong. Obrigada. E bele hola falifating. Can have a seat, please. Ita começa a falar agora ita break for 15 minutes. We have coffee break for 15 minutes, and please help yourself. Thank you. "30 minutes from now, we will be back at 10:45.